And good morning. Welcome to Coach's Corner here on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Bill Dixon along with the head football coach of the Wawasee Warriors, Coach John Reutebuch. Coach, last night the Wawasee Warriors made second ever contest against Mishawaka. First time we've gone up there, is that correct?
It's the first time that in my lifetime we played Mishawaka.
I don't recall that we ever played Mishawaka before. Went up to historic Steel Field in the Princess City to take on the Cavemen. Give us your impression of the games last night.
Well, I think it could be defined as missed opportunities. They gave us the ball twice on fumbles. We had another punt that was fumbled that we didn't pounce on, and those, if we could have turned those into scores, it might have been a little bit different ball game. We knew going in that we weren't going to be able to just totally shut them out and stop them. They've scored on every team a lot of points that they've played, and so we knew we were going to have to score points. And they gave us some opportunities, and we just couldn't capitalize on them. The initial drive, they drove it right down the field and fumbled on the one. And then we turn right around and eat up a lot of clock and move the ball down the field. I want to say around the 35, 30. Heck of a drive. And
16 plays. It was incredible.
And exactly what we need.
Mm-hmm.
The best defense is good offense. And we were moving it like we wanted to move it and moving the chains and keeping their offense off the field. Then we stalled. But even though, that was one opportunity. Even though we did that, they gave up the ball again.
They did.
And we were able to move the ball again. And once again, we stalled. And, those are opportunities that we got to take advantage of. And
I thought last night your offense looked as good or better than it's looked all season long. You were able to put together consecutive plays. Well, 16-play drive, obviously, consecutive plays, but your offense looked much more buttoned up and put together at times than it's looked all year.
Well, that's incredible, too, because there was a lot of holes to plug in this week. We had a sophomore playing left tackle, and there's some young guys getting some playing time and experience. But I think we just kind of settled in, what do we do well? Mm-hmm. And so instead of, trying to force the issue, we have not found a way to run the football. We have a hard time with that. But we pass block very well, and the offensive line did a great job pass blocking last night. I don't think we gave up a sack. Parker threw it away a couple times to save us to play another down. But I think for the most part, they did a great job. And, we have some weapons of guys who can catch a ball. We just need to be extra focused when we get in the red zone.
Your offensive line play last night really was incredible, given the fact that you had a number of young men who were in there, maybe not for their first varsity minutes, but for their first long stints of varsity minutes. And also because Mishawaka, they're just a bunch of big Belgian boys. They come at you. They're just big.
Well, and they're two platoon.
Yeah.
They have a separate defense and a separate offense, and we got kids going both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's also doubly hard. Unfortunately, we're in a position, I wrote down all the linemen we have out for various reasons at this point. And what was a strength earlier in the season of having lots of depth on the offense and defensive line, as of late, has become somewhat of an issue. And so, unfortunately, some guys are having to play both ways. And
which is harder on the line than maybe anywhere else.
It is. And especially when you're playing a flexbone team, because it's constantly physical when you're playing defense. And then you come around on offense, and it's a fresh group of guys to go against. But,
well, and a flexbone against Warsaw is one thing. Flexbone against Mishawaka, where they love to keep it between the tackles. You want it between the tackles? Sure, no problem. All night long they'll do that. Or that big fullback Myers, I think, and then the quarterback Fisher. They kept it between the tackles all night long. They'll pound that line all night. That makes it more difficult.
It does, and especially if you can't find a way to stop it. And, we felt like we had a good game plan, and, I don't think we followed the game plan as well as we had it drawn up.
Really?
It wasn't as good on in real life as on paper, and that happens sometimes. They also pull out the stops. They're a little bit more adventurous when it comes to the passing game. They passed, I think, last night as much as they had passed in the previous 3 or 4 games combined. And they ran a reverse, and so they were doing some things to change things up a little bit. And we knew we had our hands full with them defensively, and I tell you what, we were right where we wanted to be up until about 6 minutes ago. And we gave up that first score. And even then, okay, we give up a score. We, drive down the field again in the red zone or very near the red zone. We throw a pick, and they rumble down the sideline, and, boom, they put another one in. And then we go 3 and out, and we punt, and boom, they get another one right before the half. And, and that's disheartening. We got to do a better job of sudden change. We got to do a better job of going, okay, they got one on us, next play. And we're not doing that. And that's been a problem all year long. When something goes bad, we kind of hang our heads and let that snowball get bigger and bigger instead of just coming right back and saying, okay, you got us on that one. We're going to get you on another one down the road and just get back to playing what we were doing. And, that was what I talked about at halftime is, we got to do a better job with sudden change. We got to do a better job of focusing when we're in the red zone. We got to do a better job of taking advantage of opportunities when the other team wants to give us the ball.
I thought Parker Young did a really nice job last night. His ability, you love to talk about the positive plays, but as the quarterback, you have a real opportunity to eliminate the negative plays. And he perhaps did that as well as I've seen him do it all year. He delivered the ball out of bounds where nobody was going to get it when he was going to lose 10, 15, 20 yards on a sack because he dropped deep, which he had to do. There were a couple times when he dropped and then he dropped again because they had penetrated. So I thought Parker's play last night in avoiding that was new and a positive wrinkle for your operation.
Absolutely. Parker played a really good game. I think the stats were something like 24-48. We threw the ball 48 times. That's apparently where we're at right now. And so, but he had like 9 drops. And so you add those 9 to the 24. Holy cow, that's a heck of a night. And you put on top of that a couple of the runs that he manufactured after weaving his way around were huge. And so he was pretty poised, and I like you, I think he had a very good game last night, hitting a lot of different targets.
I think every receiver caught at least one ball, as I recall. I don't think he missed a one. Maybe a couple of the running backs didn't get anything out of the backfield, but I'm pretty sure all the wide receivers and the tight end got everybody.
I can tell you from memory that the running backs each had a ball.
Okay.
And so we had a screen play that went for some good yardage. That's what we settled into is that we got to pass the ball and run the ball when it's set up by the pass. And so we know what we are. And we pass blocked well, and we got some weapons out at the receivers. And when Parker plays like that, as you can see, we can move the ball up and down the field. We just got to get a better job of really focusing when we get in the red zone because we were between the 20s, we're up and down the field. And when we got to that red zone, it seems like we had a difficult time putting it in.
Your defense had a night where they showed some pretty good hands, able to add to the old takeaway giveaway number, where they were able to pick off. I think they had an interception and 3 fumbles. Am I correct?
Yes, I know the 3. Yeah, yep, that sounds absolutely correct. And like I said before, we had an opportunity on a punt return to get another fumble, and so. Again, just capitalizing on those opportunities. When a team turns it over, we need to get points out of it. That is a takeaway from them of a possession, an opportunity to score, and it's giving us an extra one. And so we need to take advantage of that. And, this still is a work in progress. I mean, we're still finding our way a little bit and teaching. There's a lot of teaching moments going on during games. And at this time of the year, there shouldn't be as that much, but it's a lot of teaching moments going on, and it's some young kids, it's some older kids, it's just learning about the game and the nuances that take you from a little play to a big play.
Well, and that's why we play high school football. It's to take those students where they're at. Same as teaching. It's to take those students wherever they're at and lift them to that next level. And
absolutely.
If they're at level 2, then we're looking to raise them to level 3. If they're at level 12, looking to raise them to level 13. But you have to take the student where you find him or her.
Yep, and that's exactly where we are as a program too. We're working on it, and we do see a lot of bright spots from the young guys and even some of the older guys. I mean, Cam Salazar and Dryden Hernandez both were playing on one leg all night long. Never came out. Each one of them had a different type of injury, and they just played through it. And that's Warrior grit.
Yeah,
that's two guys that just selling out, love the game, love their teammates, giving all they got. And that's why they both walked out as captains before the game. That's the kind of examples we want to lift up and show. Here's what you can do when you work hard, and this is what Warrior Grit's all about. And then another captain's Parker Young. He had a great night. And Justin Castro playing both sides of the ball.
Against
every game,
275 and 300-pound linemen.
Yeah, he's always going to be outweighed, but he never backs down and he never gives up, and so. Those are the kind of guys we want to hold up and show that, they work hard every day in practice and, even through injury and, they're doing a great job. And there's a lot of guys doing some good things out there. We just got to get better.
Unlikely that we'll see another program like Mishawaka this year.
We won't see any more flexbone teams, which, that kind of chips away at our biggest weakness right now. Our strength and conditioning program is a great program, and we just need time to do it. And so it seems like we just got started into it last year, then COVID hit, and then that took everything away. So it's like starting all over again. And so we just need to get our younger guys, because for the seniors, time has already passed for them as far as getting strong in the weight room for the next season. But the younger guys got to get in the weight room each trimester and work at getting to be better athletes and stronger, and that will help us in the trenches against teams like flexbone teams.
And unlikely we'll see a team that physically large again either. Mishawaka, those boys are just huge.
They're big, and everybody knows that. They got a good line, and they started off a little rough this year, but everybody knew that they were probably going to come around, and they sure have. And now they're at the top of the conference also, they're a team that is a tough team to face, and they got some good things going on there, and a program that's well founded with Bart Curtis, and Keith Kinder now is carrying that on and doing a great job.
So, Coach Jeremy Van Loo here, and where do they grow those kids, those big kids? I mean, how do we harvest some kids like that?
That's a great question. I wish I knew, because I'd be tapping into that right away. But
you got one high school for the entirety of Mishawaka.
Yeah.
So it's just a bigger talent pool to pull from.
Well, and, we are the second smallest team in the conference.
In population.
And as far as our numbers go in coaches and in players, we have fewer than most teams. They have a lot more coaches and a lot more kids. And
they had 16 coaches on the sideline last night.
Yep. And there's teams that have more, believe it or not. And so I think Northwood's got upwards where around 20-some coaches. But, part of that is, when you build a program and you're winning, people want to be a part of it. And so right now that's what we're trying to get to, is getting more kids to play, get more kids to participate, and get more people to be a part of the program. And, the guys that we have now are given what they got. We just need more, and we need more time to initiate all the things that we need to do to be a very competitive program.
Well, Mishawaka in the rearview mirror, in the front visor right now, the Northwood Panthers with the sectional draw over the weekend. We'll be traveling to Northwood to start the sectional. We'll talk about that when we come back here on John Reutebuch's Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM and 937themix.com. I'm Bill Dixon, along with Coach John Reutebuch on Coach's Corner as we talk Wawasee football. Coach Reutebuch, we're approaching the end of the season, and we found out this week that Wawasee's sectional opponent in the opening round of the IHSAA football tournament will be the Northwood Panthers. Give us sort of a refresh on just what it is Northwood brings to the table.
Well, we played Northwood earlier this year, and it wasn't a very good game for us. We started the game very well. It seems like a theme developing here. We started the game like we wanted to, and then we had something go bad. We had an interception, and then, kind of opened the floodgates there a little bit. But Northwood is a very well coached team. They do everything 100 miles an hour. They really hustle everywhere they go, defense and offense. They're a team that goes to the whistle, and so they're going to be a formidable opponent. They beat Warsaw last night in a thriller, 22-21, and obviously they are a team that can beat anybody on any given night, and they've had their struggles this year too. They've had injuries and COVID issues and things like that. So what we can take away is what they got us with the first game, and when we look at film, what teams are able to exploit, and try to do those things. And we got to go into that game with the mindset that we have nothing to lose and everything to gain. All the pressure's on them, and because everybody's expecting Northwood to win. And second year in a row, we've drawn Northwood at Northwood. I'm not sure how that works, but in my time of coaching, that's happened several times. We had Northridge 2 years in a row. We had Leo 2 years in a row. I don't know if it's somehow how they random draw it, but it seems like the same thing pops up a couple years in a row. But that's who we play, and so we're going to do everything we can to pull the upset, shock people around, and that's got to be our mindset. And they're not going to be an easy egg to crack, but we're going to give it our darndest to find out if we can find out some answers about their wing T. And then their 3-3 stack on defense. They got a lot of guys going a lot of different ways, and we're going to work on ways to take advantage of that.
Not only are you going to have the exchange of film, excuse me, but you've already seen these guys. They've already seen you once. Talk about playing a team the second time in a single year. That adds a lot of variables that the layman football person wouldn't necessarily consider. It changes a lot of things for you in particular.
Well, you've had experience with them face to face. You see how they line up. You see how they deal with your formations. You see how they deal with your defensive alignments, and so you get to see it in person against your own team, and you have that film, and you can go from that. Whereas every other film, you're watching them go against another team and their schemes and how they line up. And it can give you, if you got like teams, it gives you a lot more. But, if we're watching them go against a Flexbone team, we're not really seeing what they normally would do against us.
Right.
Because it's just different. And so when you play a team a second time, or some cases, they're, like in basketball and things, you can play them a third time. But when you play them again, you know what the animal is. You know what you're dealing with, and you try to shore up the things that they got you on, and you try to, hey, we could have done this at this point in the game. Now we're going to. And so that's the advantage you have of playing a team a second time. Not as many surprises, I guess you would say, but they're going to have plays for the week going in, and we are too. You're never going to fully have somebody totally scouted out, and really it comes down to, and I've said this a million times, not only to the players and the coaches and everybody else. It's really not just the X's and O's. It's the Jimmy and Joes. It's the guys out in the field executing the plays and playing like it's their last game. And, when we get to sectional play, every game is the last game if you don't win. And so you got to fight for it, and you got to fight for survival.
Wawasee, having had a little less success than Northwood in that contest, doesn't that give Wawasee a bit of an inherent advantage? Because we don't... There's an emotional attachment to the old playbook if you won, and the old attitude if you won. We don't have that problem. We can come into this game fresh, hungry, ready to go. There is no impetus to rely on what happened before.
Yeah, and you can get the flip side of that too. They did pretty much have their way with us the first time, and so that is something that you gotta reach with your team is that mental approach. And like I said, our mental approach has got to be, hey, let's let it all hang out and play hard and see what happens. And, we have everything to gain. And, it falls upon Northwood to do what everybody expects them to do. And, if they come out flat and we come out fired up, and who knows? Because in Friday Night Lights, any team on any given night can beat another team, and that's what's great about the tournament. Everybody's in. And so it really comes down to, teams executing and teams not wanting their season to end. And so, we would like to look at going into Goshen. Hopefully we can play well and get a victory there and get things going a little bit and use that as a springboard into playing Northwood in the sectional.
Playing at Northwood is always a challenge. That's another historic field, a field that's been dedicated, and a field that Northwood will definitely have a desire to defend. That's a real issue when you're talking to the Northwood people. They always want to talk about defending the home turf. They feel very attached to that. So that can also turn in your favor, because you've now found a prickly pear in their bear patch. You found something that could annoy them a little bit, something they're going to be thinking about that you don't have to think about.
Yeah. They have great fans. They got a great following. Football matters to that community, and they are fired up every game, and they expect to win and dominate. And, I think where you're going with that is if we can not allow them to do that, if we can put a little thorn on their side and make them quiet down. I mean, they're going to start mumbling around like, what's going on here? We're supposed to be killing these guys.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
If we have the opportunity to score first, especially if Northwood were to lay it on the ground and we were to score first, then that situation for Northwood starts to loom even larger.
Yeah.
Because anytime you can put pressure on that balloon at that point, it might pop.
Yeah, but they're not a team that's weak-minded at all either. They're going to come right back at you, and they're going to do that for the full game. It's got to be a concerted effort the whole game, but you're right. As the game goes along and the closer the game is, that pressure starts to, oh, my goodness, are we going to mess this up in the first game and a team we're supposed to beat? And that's exactly where you want to be going into the fourth quarter. And so we've been able to put together a half, I would say, against some teams and looking good. I mean, Warsaw, we're looking good at halftime, and there's some other games that we look good in the beginning of the game. We need to put together 4 quarters or at least 3 quarters to get us to that point where, okay, now both teams got to execute, and the first one that blinks is going to have a hard time, and that's where we got to get going too. And so far we're not there in conference play.
You've started to suffer a few injuries along the way. You've got linemen that have not been feeling particularly up to snuff, and you talked about Salazar and Schmucker. I think you said had some knee problems. How do you think you're going to be going into sectional play? You think you're going to be all right?
Yeah. Those kind of injuries are kind of typical at this point in the time of the season. And coming off of 2 flexbone teams, you're going to be sore. That's just part of football. It's a physical game, and after you get through 8 games, you're going to be sore. That's the way it is. We do have some injuries here and there, but as of last night, coming into today and going into next week, we should be fairly healthy. I mean, we got some guys that have some injuries and soreness and things like that, but I think we're going to be able to push through, and all those guys, we should be at full capacity this next week unless there's something that I'm not aware of yet today. So that's a positive going into Goshen, and we've been very fortunate. Last year was a litany of injuries. We'd have 8 to 9 guys on the sideline, and a lot of those were linemen. And so that is very tough. And so we struggled with that. So that's why it was encouraging coming into the season. Hey, we got a lot more linemen and more depth, and we're going to be able to not be in that situation. And you usually do have some injuries and things like that at this point of the season, but we're pretty fortunate. And we've been pretty fortunate with the whole COVID thing, too. We played every game.
Yep.
And I just realized last night, talking to somebody, us and Warsaw are the only 2 conference teams that have played every game of this season in the conference. So we've been fortunate that way. And so hopefully all those experiences and getting through all the grind of the regular season in a very good conference has left us this point. And we've talked about this. We want to be playing our best football at the end of the season. And so, like I said, we can hopefully use this Goshen game as a springboard into the sectional and, go out and shock the world. How fun would that be?
Talk about emotional management and how you've got to get your kids, I'm not going to say hyped up because that's not true, ready emotionally for this sectional game against Northwood. But really, it's a balancing act because they got to keep their head about them.
It is. And, this time of year is, like I said, it's kind of a grind for kids in football. This time of year is about the time of year where, a kid is either finding his footing or starting to, lose his focus a little bit. And that's a big part of it, is the mental part of getting the kids mentally prepared for each game. This is what's going to happen. This is what it's going to be about. And, your schemes and your X's and O's and your fundamentals, by this point of the season, that's got to be in. And so now it's more about the mind frame and keeping your kids healthy, keeping them, lighten up a little bit on some physical things so they can put full physicality into the games. We're in the pool today to try to take a little pressure off the joints and everything and giving that kind of workout. And so I think we have a great plan in place. It's just going to take a little time to get going. And for right now in this season, we got to look at it as a Goshen is the first thing up. We got to go out and get an NLC victory and then use that game as a springboard into the sectional playoffs. And let's see what happens there. Emotional
management is the one place where the community, the 12th man, can really make a big difference. You can't have the community out there hitting tackling dummies. You can't have the community in the pool with you today working out the kinks, but the community can play a role in the next 2 weeks going into this sectional game. They can play a role in what they say and what they do and how they act around your football players. Just what is it you would like to see from the community in the next 2 weeks as we go through the end of our season and the regular season and into tournament play? Just what is it you would like to see the community do?
Support your kids. Support your team. The team's representing our community, and that was one of my goals coming in, is to put a team out on the field that community can be proud of. And part of that is with the way you play football. You go out there and you play it the right way, and you play hard, and you battle the whole game. And we're still working on that, but that's part of it. The other part is we have some great community members that support us and do a great job, and just be positive. Understand the whole process. There's a lot of kids putting a lot of time in and effort. There's a lot of coaches putting a lot of time and effort. There's managers. There's all kinds of people that are working hard to try to get the best for Wawasee. And, we all have the same goal, and we may not always agree on the way to get there, but just support your team and come out and root us on. And when we make a great play, be loud, be proud, get after it. We're trying to get that on the sideline too. People watching the game will see me off and turn around, come on, get them up, let's go. And just getting excited about big plays. I mean, emotion and passion is a huge part of football. You can't go in it just, even keel and ho-hum. You got to feel that emotion and passion and feed off of it. Mm-hmm. And momentum is a real thing. And unfortunately, we're trying to get out of the rut of when momentum goes against us, we got to push back the other direction. And that's what we're working on, and that's what we're trying to get accomplished. And that's more mental than physical, but the physical part will come in the weight room and, getting kids to where we need them to be.
We'll be back with more of Coach John Reutebuch's Coach's Corner in just a moment here on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com with head Wawasee High School football coach John Reutebuch. Coach, we talked a little bit about how important it is for the community to play a role as we reach the end of the year. That 12th man is so critical in football in particular, with the emotion of the game. And we're so fortunate here to be in a program, as you brought guest Jeremy Van Loo in with you for today. We're so fortunate to be here in a community that is supportive, not just of the football team, but it's supportive of the school in general, from seniors all the way down, right down to, well, now pre-K we have in the buildings.
Right. We got a really great school here with great people working hard for our kids and our community, and we got great community members. One of the things behind taking this job is I've been here long enough to know the community, and the three communities of North Webster, Milford, and Syracuse. There's great people and great resources in every one of those communities. And, we talked earlier this year about all the sponsors we have and people that contribute to what we do. And it takes a village, is the statement. And it takes everything from, the people I brought in, social media guys, and this radio show, and the announcers, and the managers, and the parents, and the gridiron parents. I mean, there's all kinds of people that pour into this. And this is your community. This is your team. And when we pull together in times like COVID times and things like that, supporting our local restaurants and everything like that. So, community has so much to give, and there's a lot of great people doing some great things out there, and probably don't get enough credit. And we want to keep growing as a community, and kind of be a pillar for other communities to look at, and striving for greatness. And I think there's a lot of people on that track.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach, there's three people in my life who taught me the value, the importance of community. One of which is sitting in this very room right now across from me, my mentor. I wouldn't be doing this job here in our Pathway CTE program of radio broadcasting if it wasn't for Bill Dixon, who gave me, a kid out of high school, graduated 1990 here from Wawasee High School, when he came to my parents' store and said, "Hey, I think you guys need to buy some advertising." And my dad, he was a big lover of radio, and Bill Dixon spent a lot of money in our Radio Shack store, keeping that radio station he used to own here in town on the air, midnight calls, whatever else. But Bill, when I worked for him and he gave me a shot to play radio, instilled in me the value of community, especially from a broadcasting standpoint, of a local radio station in our community, and the value that it gives to the community. Of course, the other two people are my parents.
Yeah.
We had a local business here in town, and I carry that with me into this program, this Pathway CTE program, and I preach it. I'm going to use that word. I preach it to my students, the value and the importance of it, and why we do all these things like this Coach's Corner show.
Right.
But, it can't be just Bill Dixon and Jeremy Van Loo who can do this. It's Coach Reutebuch. It's our administration. It's our teachers. It's our staff that, if we don't have a good school system in here and a supportive community, what do we have?
Right. And, look where you've taken that. You've taken what you got from Bill, and then now you're teaching the kids and giving some more kids opportunities and opening their avenues to different things that they maybe never thought of before. And we have some great programs here that other schools don't have. We have so many great programs, and it takes money to run those programs, and it's really about what's best for the kids. And that's the bottom line, and that's how you build community. And you guys are invested in the community. I'm invested in the community. We're invested in our local businesses. We're invested in the people of the community, and your mentor, and then you carry it on and you pass it on. I mean, that's what it's all about, is being able to pass things on to the next generation. And that's what education's about, passing it on to the next generation.
Wawasee has always had a good relationship with its community, but for many years, it was a more informal relationship. It was one that a heightened set of expectations, but really a traditional one where you needed volunteers or you needed a particular type of product. The high mileage car, for instance, is an excellent example because it predates a lot of the rest of the programs. The high mileage car, they would bring in individuals who had expertise in that area, and those experts then volunteered their time to help build this school project that has gone on to win international acclaim. I mean, these are kids that went to England and competed against the best, the MITs and the Cal Polys and that group competed against them in London last year. But as time has gone on, particularly in, say, the last, seems to me, maybe 5 years, Wawasee has worked hard to formalize that interlocking relationship with the community through a program that here in the building is referred to as ICE, and I'm not even sure what ICE stands for, but it's programs like this radio program, it's programs like the welding program, where and we've had building trades for years, but that's also an example of it, where you have sophomore and junior and senior level students who reaching the end of their academic career. For the most part, now this is no longer the case with services like health sciences, where many of these kids are going on. They now have a vocational track and an academic track. But traditionally, these are students who, as they get to 17, 18 years old, there may not be as much draw for them academically in the traditional sense of academics as students who are planning to go on to a 4-year undergraduate degree. Mm-hmm. So with these vocational programs, and not just, we used to have the printing shop at West Oval and all those types of things, but modern vocational opportunities, these students have more of a reason to stay in school. They have more of a reason to learn those lessons, not just the vocational lessons, but the life lessons that our ICE people are able to instill, because a lot of times you can teach a life lesson in the classroom in history or English, but when you're doing it over an employment situation or skills that directly lead to a job, sometimes it's a little easier to get those in place. And it's better that they learn them now than when a paycheck is on the line. Yeah. And I think Wawasee has done a great job in the last several years. I'm going to say 5 years, but that may not be exactly right, but about 5 years, to formalize that relationship.
Yeah. And I think you're talking about CTE as opposed to ICE, right?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
CTE.
Okay.
I apologize. Yeah.
It's other areas that more kids can, it's a source of pride. It's a source of experiences. It's a source of giving them multiple opportunities to succeed. Mm-hmm. And, the old traditional way, it was outdated, and Wawasee's done a great job of updating that and partnership with businesses. And what do you need out in the community, out of, what do students coming out of high school and coming out of college, what do you need more of? And we've done a great job with our CTE programs and giving kids more opportunity to find their niche, find their experiences, job training, all those things. Maybe, academics is not your forte, or
athletics.
All these programs give kids opportunities to succeed somewhere and to find their niche in life. And that's what education's all about. It's giving you a basis, and then it's giving you opportunities. And our CTE program, our athletics program, robotics, all the things, drama, everything that we have and offer, give that many more kids a chance to shine and a chance for the community to take pride in, their kids being out there. And Wawasee does this in the FFA soil judging.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
Wawasee does this in the Super Mileage Club. And the Robotics Club competed nationally. And the volleyball team won this tournament. And those are all sources of pride for the community. And, other people looking at, wow, look what Wawasee's doing. We want to be like that. Yeah. And so that's what we got going on here, and going forward, we need to keep building on that and keep being a pillar of the local regional area and maybe even northern Indiana of being that example of this is what you do for your kids. You know, you give them opportunities, you give them a chance to succeed, you give them a chance to, get out there and be a source of pride, not only for the parents, but also for the whole community to enjoy.
The one thing that I would note is that, it's simple mathematics. If you take a group of individuals and divide them up more finely, which is what we're talking about. If they have the opportunity to fine-tune their education, that means you have to offer a broader range of classes so that everyone has that fine-tune ability. When you do that, you, of course, have to create more classes. There is an expense to that, and the school addresses that. But the community needs to realize that expense exists, and that as education changes, if we're going to maintain the quality that's necessary, we have to recognize that expense does exist.
Yeah. And that whole idea of paying it forward.
Isn't that true?
Helping the next generation get where they need to go. And, COVID-19 being a part of your growing up period. And so the more positive things we can put out there and the more opportunity, it's going to help those kids when they reach our point. And the whole idea is paying it forward again, the next generation, helping the next generation, and so on and so forth. And so we got some great things and a lot of great people working hard for kids. And really that's the bottom line. What's best for kids and what we're trying to provide for kids in our community. And, maybe somebody had some positive experiences in the past, and so they turn around and come in and help out, and just like you're doing, Jeremy, and we've had a lot of people doing that, come back and help out. And, I know in football we have people coming back and either coaching or doing our social media, and parents just, working really hard to get things for kids and promote kids. And you just see it in a lot of different ways, and it reaches so many kids that you get to more kids that way, and you give kids more opportunities, and that's great.
And you mentioned that you can see it in a lot of different ways. There's a list a mile long of how many wonderful programs and things that we do here at Wawasee Schools. And currently, our fifth and sixth period students have been working really hard to put together some great promo videos about just a small percentage, because we can't obviously in a few weeks' time do everything, but the goal is eventually to do that. But we are putting together some promo videos, and there's some out there on our YouTube channel now. In fact, Coach, I want to thank you. You've been a part of some of those promo videos. In fact, we just launched our athletics program video last night, and come together really, really well. We brought you in. We brought Coach Bumgartner, our wrestling coach, and we brought a parent in, Katie Young, to talk about that from a parent perspective of what athletics does. We also put together something about our new staff child care program at Syracuse Elementary, our health science program, and our welding program, and we've got more to come. And those are available to see on our YouTube channel, CPG-TV. But they're also available on the corporation website to see, wawasee.k12.in.us.
And recently, we had local news station come down and
Channel 57
and look at our CTE Pathways program, and putting that out there for everybody to see. Look at what's going on at Wawasee and in education in this time of chaos. Look at these great things they're doing. And, we got to look at that as a source of pride in our community and want to keep those kind of things going, because the eyes are on us, and, we're doing great things, and we want to keep doing great things, and we, keep supporting whatever it takes to keep all these programs going, and all the people that are working hard to give back to the kids and get that next generation where they need to be, and give them every opportunity to succeed.
Amen.
Back with a look at this coming week's opponent, Goshen, in just a moment here on Coach John Reutebuch's Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Here with the head football coach of the Wawasee Warriors, Coach John Reutebuch. Coach, seems like the season has just gone by like the snap of the fingers as we approach the last game of the regular season. Traditionally a hard-fought and emotional contest as we take on, some would say, our neighbors to the north. I would think that was Fairfield, but some folks think about the Goshen Redhawks as our neighbors to the north, and always a tough one. There's a trophy involved between the two schools that's existed for years. Seems like that last game of the season with Goshen, always a very hard-fought and physical contest with two schools that really want to win that game.
Yes, and that's a pretty good promo for the final game of the regular season. Goshen's kind of in a position similar to ours. And you bring up a great point, the Warhawk Trophy. The names change, but it's still a trophy on the line. And, of course, Warhawk comes from Warrior, the first part of Warrior, and Red Hawk is their new nickname. And so that's where the name of the trophy comes from. And that's resided with us for a few years now. And we want to keep it that way. And there's a certain excitement with that game. The kids get fired up. It's fun to hoist a trophy, and no matter what your record is, hoisting a trophy for others to see that, hey, we won this year. We won against them, and look at what we got, the hardware. So that is fun. Kids get excited about that, and neighbors to the north, at least NLC-wise.
That's right.
Goshen is our neighbors to the north, and a much larger school. But like Warsaw, a lot of people know each other. And kids have friends there, and community members exchange back and forth. And so it's a source of pride for communities and to go against each other. And, unfortunately, the last few years, Goshen and Wawasee have been kind of in the same boat as far as going in that last game looking for an NLC win. And that's another reason why it's a hard-fought game.
Both these programs have had some success in stretches. We talked about a 16-play drive we had last night. We also had an 11-play drive last night. Goshen played a half of football against Northridge that was pretty tough. So it occurs to me that perhaps the mental part of the game, the ability to persevere over a longer period of time, may play an oversized role this coming Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's two evenly matched games, and like a broken record, there's no easy NLC games.
Right.
Every time you go out there, you better perform, or you're going to get beat.
Right.
And top to bottom, this conference is a great conference. It's got great coaching in all three phases of the game, every single game. Great athletes that make plays. If you make a mistake, they're going to take advantage of it. And so you got to come out and be prepared every Friday night. And there's a lot at stake. There's the trophy. There's an NLC win. There's momentum going into the playoffs. All those things are at stake. And so we got to ramp it up. We got to have that passion and desire to not blink first. Make them blink first, and celebrate with the school song and hoisting that trophy, and those are the memories and the pictures and things that you take with you beyond your experience in high school football.
Let's give the fans the X's and O's on Goshen. What type of football should we expect to see from them? We've seen the Flexbone 2 weeks in a row. I have a feeling Flexbone will not be what we're seeing from the Redhawks.
You're going to get complete opposite.
Yeah.
It is not that kind of game. To be honest with you, when you look at them offensively, they're very similar to us. They have struggled with their run game, and they throw the ball well, and they know what they are, and that's kind of like where we are. And defensively, they have some good things going, and they've struggled at times holding teams down, and we've been in that boat too. And so it's a pretty good matchup on paper. It's a matter of which team wants it more and which team has the right mental approach. And the great thing is we get it at home, and it's senior night. And, seniors know this is your last regular season game. It's blackout night. And so we got those T-shirts out there for sale you still can get. to support your team and support your seniors. And so there's a lot of excitement going on with that. And having it home with our crowd and our kids, we've opened it up a little bit more that more people can attend. And so that helps.
Where are we at on that? Do you know how many people can attend now?
I believe it's at 50% now. And so, we would love to get a lot of community members out there and, get the student body out there and support those seniors in their last regular season game. We're on the road in the sectional, so there's no guarantee we'll have another home game.
Right.
And so we got to play this one like it's our last. And I think the kids will be ready. I think we'll be ready to leave it all out in the field and give you an entertaining game that you can feel those emotions and excitement and things like that. I know the kids, you don't want them to look at records and everything, but I know they understand this is an opportunity to win, and they feel like we match up well with Goshen, and I think Goshen probably thinks the same exact thing, and so this should be a great football game.
The defense for Wawasee this coming night, the secondary, it's going to be the group that's really tested here with Goshen putting so many wideouts out there. We've got to have our kids, our fast kids, unlike the last 2 weeks when it's been the boys in the trenches that have gotten pounded on. For this next coming game, the last game of the year, it's going to be the secondary that's really going to be tested.
Yeah, it's a whole different emphasis and mindset, and so we can't get overly extended on just their pass game because we're going to try to use our pass game to open up a run game, and I imagine they're looking at the same thing. So we can't get too overboard on that, but you're right. The emphasis is a little different, and so pass rush is more important. Coverage is more important than it is in the previous two games. So it's really a flip in schemes and mentality, and we feel like this year's team, we match up better with this kind of approach than maybe the last two games, where we are as a program and what we like to do and where our strengths are. And so looking forward to this opportunity. We have been fortunate. We played every single game this year. Never thought that was possible. We would get to this point. Talking to Coach Kinder last night, us and Warsaw are the only two teams that have been able to play an absolute full season every game. And so, that speaks to both communities and doing the right thing with COVID and following those procedures and the coaches doing that and the schools doing that. And, we're still in school in session face to face, and so are they. And, that's a great thing to be able to play a full season. The people that missed out on their spring seasons last year know full well how painful and hard that is to miss out on your senior year, your opportunity, and other kids developing. And so that's a big deal. Records aside. Development of the program, development of the individual, and the life lessons that go with being on a football team, being held accountable and expectations and, teamwork and pride in what you're doing and all those things that go into a team sport, and my favorite team sport of football, where you got 11 guys on the field at the same time working towards the same goal. And, there's just so many life lessons there that, again, as we talked before, it gives kids other opportunities to succeed and find their niche and be a part of something and try to be a part of something and something they can carry on later in life of perseverance and overcoming adversity and, not pointing the finger at other people and looking at self-development, self-improvement, and sacrifice, and all those wonderful things that come from being a good community person, a good father, a good husband. And, that's what we're promoting, and that's what we're trying to build in these kids, not just winning football. That's important. That's why you play the game. But all those other lessons that go along with it, doing it the right way,
That's right.
Being a team that the community can be proud of, and, other schools being respectful of what we do and how we do it. And it's been great.
That's why we have high school sports for 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Isn't necessarily that the values you're teaching are not just simply tackling and holding on to the ball and those types of technical things. Sure, you teach those, but what benefits the community is the things you're teaching along with that every one of these young people will take with them as they go out and into their next stage of development.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. And so, everybody I've coached with and played for, it's that same mantra, how you carry yourself, your effort, your attitude, and a team that the community can be proud of, a team that gives back to the community and the community gets behind. And it's a beautiful thing when those kind of things happen. And some communities really have that strong, and some communities are working on that. And I know we have it here. That's why I'm here. I've been here a long time, and I've always felt like we can build a strong football program. I think the resources are here, and it's just going to take a little time to get that. And I know our community will get behind us, and we got some great people doing some great things right now. That, hey, what can we do to help? And how can we help out the program and things like that? So we got a lot of positive things going on. Record-wise, it may not seem like it, but we can see it. Hopefully the community can see some things that are moving in a positive direction, and it just takes a little time. This fast food world, everybody wants everything right now, and it just doesn't work that way. I saw a great posting the other day on Twitter, and it talked about Michelangelo building the Sistine Chapel in 3 years, and John Wooden, it took him 18 years to win his first championship, and we know where that went.
Yes.
So, and I'm not alluding to it's going to take us 18 years. I don't think I have 18 years in coaching, but it just takes some time, and to build that culture and to build that confidence and that trust. There's a lot of trust that goes on between the coaches and the players and the parents and the players and the parents and the coaches. And when you got all those things moving in the same direction, that's a big force that you have a hard time stopping. And there's some programs out there that got it going on right now, and that's where we want to be, and that's where we're building towards. And all the things we do here at Wawasee, whether it's sports or extracurriculars or CTE, band, whatever it is, it gives kids opportunity to succeed and learn great lessons and carry those on into later life. And from my standpoint, for football, young men, our young men going out there and being a positive part of the community and workforce, and like I said before, being good husbands, good fathers, and things like that. That's what we're trying to build.
So your Wawasee Warriors have their final game of the regular season this coming Friday night, blackout night, home game against the Goshen Redhawks. We'll be on the air at 6:30. Michael Casey and I will bring you all the action. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. We'd love to have you by the radio, but we'd really love to have you in the stands this coming Friday night as Wawasee hosts Goshen for that final game of the regular season. This has been Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com with Coach John Reutebuch. We look forward to being back with you again next week.